I think it's just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder, and finally it's going to be so weird that people are going to have to talk about how weird it is. Eventually people are going to say, what the hell is going on? It's not enough to say it's nuts. You have to explain why it's so nuts. The invention of artificial life, the cloning of human beings, possible contact with extraterrestrials, the systems which are in place to keep the world sane are utterly inadequate to the forces that have been unleashed.
Welcome back to Forbidden Knowledge News. I'm your host, Chris Matthew. Today my guest is Karen Holton. Check out my films, Doors of Perception on Amazon Prime, Occult Louisiana is on Tubi, Roku, Apple, and a few more. We are booking guests for February. If you have suggestions or you'd like to be a guest, email me forbiddenknowledgenews@gmail.com. Today I want to welcome back to the show Karen Holton. She is an experiencer, holistic coach, author, and host of the Quantum Guide Show, Aliens and Angels, and co-host of Unseen Nexus. Karen, welcome back. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Chris. Thanks so much for having me back.
Well, thanks so much for coming back on. Always enjoy our conversations, and Happy New Year. You've been very busy last year with your shows and wellness and coaching and community building. I'm hoping 2026 will be an even better year for you. Today you want to share your latest research and insights about the state of our strange realm. There's a lot you want to get into. Before we do, remind the audience a little bit about yourself and let them know how they can find out more.
Okay, my name is Karen Holton. I have a burning message to bring to humanity, one about love, peace, friendly ET contact, self-improvement, and how to survive the demolition of current society. And I have 3 podcasts. I have the Aliens and Angels podcast every Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific, noon Mountain, and 2 p.m. Eastern. I have the Quantum Guide Show on Wednesdays, where I interview some of the most amazing people, and all people who have something positive they're bringing to humanity. And that's the Quantum Guide Show at noon Pacific, 1 p.m. Mountain, and 3 p.m. Eastern time. And then I also have a show I do a couple times a month with my friend Joan Wyden. It's called Unseen Nexus. And in that show, I get together with Joan and we just talk about whatever's going on, whatever's in our mind, whatever's happening. And I'm really, really enjoying it. And the really exciting thing about all of this is the community that I'm building.
Excellent. Not to divert us for too long, I'd love to hear how your experience in Canada is going. I'm hearing a lot of dystopian events unfolding, and I'm wondering what it's like in your area right now and what you've been witnessing.
Well, am I allowed to
course.
swear? It's a shitstorm. Just going to say it. It's a shitstorm between the censorship, the culling of healthy animals, the just tomfoolery. It's really ridiculous. And it got to the point where I just had to disconnect from it and just go, how can I be healthy and happy in this world? Because that's what's important to me. And if I get dragged down by all the doom and gloom and all the problems, then I'm just going to be a complete hot mess like everybody else. And I don't need to do that. I have a choice. I have a choice in what I want to do with my life. But I got to tell you, it's not pretty. The jobs are all the businesses are moving to the United States. Those that make up the ruling class here, they are just imposing ridiculous restrictions on everybody. It's to the point now where they're putting people in jail because of posts they've made on Facebook. So there's kind of a lockstep, I think, between Australia, the United Kingdom, and Canada, possibly also New Zealand, where we're all getting hammered left, right, and center. They're also bringing back fear of illness, masking, and all medical centers. It's just nuts. Not to mention the price of food, unless it's garbage food, but real food, nutritious food, healthy food has gone right through the roof. So I don't know. Is that enough?
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, and I'm glad you're able to navigate everything. That is some of the best advice that I would give to people, is to not participate with the nonsense and focus on what you can control and heal yourself.
Yeah, and another thing I want to say is I believe 99.9% of it is theater. Everybody's acting.
Yeah.
It's all bullshit. And they don't know what they're doing, and they don't have the answers. And so there is a stage over here where they want everyone participating in the show. And I say, no, I'm on a stage over here, and I'm going to deal with the people I know and love and trust, and screw them. They got no power if we don't give it to them. And that's, David Icke says the same thing. I've been saying it for years. You've been saying it, Chris.
Been talking a lot about the theater lately. Let's talk a little bit about some of the things you've got going on. I know you're doing some community building. Talk a little bit about that.
Okay, so I started off on YouTube, and it's taken me a long time to get anywhere. And I don't know, sometimes I wonder if maybe my content just sucks, or whether there's powers that be and algorithms that are holding me back. But it took me 5 years to get 54 subscribers, Chris. And that was before I met you. Since I've met you, you and I have been friends now over 6 years. And since then, I have accumulated about 2,000 more subscribers, which I'm very happy about. It's not about the numbers, and it's not about the algorithm. It's about community, and it's about people helping and loving each other. And so I'm really excited. I finally got enough views and subscribers so that I could go live. And since I've been going live last year, I went to StreamYard because it's easy. It's bloody expensive, but it is the easiest for those that are just getting started with streaming and stuff. And I started to build a community. And in the beginning, nobody came. And it was like that thing, if you build it, they will show, right? And I just kept doing it. And then I started getting not just people coming to the live chat during my podcasts, but they're lovely. They are lovely people. I've only ever had one troll show up to my live chat in a whole year. And I'm not inviting them, don't get me wrong. I can do nicely without them. I have wonderful moderators, and that helps a lot too. But I've been building community, so I often will put the comments from the chat onto the into the video so people can see what other people are saying. I often will read out the comments so that those on the audio platform, can also benefit. And what's happened is we've ended up with this community. It's not exceptionally large, but it's very loving and very supportive. And the big thing about my channel is we do not have to agree. Like, there's lots of channels you go on there and you say the wrong thing, and oh, lordy, everyone's reacting to everything you say, and sometimes they're a bit cultish, and you have to sort of believe what the host is saying to get along. And no, we don't do that on my channel. On my channel, now, if somebody is introducing subjects that don't follow along with the format or the theme of the show, I might not post them, but they never get clobbered. Everybody respects it. Everybody has their own unique perspective, and they have a right to their view. I don't want anyone telling me I'm wrong and I need to do it different. And I don't want to do that to other people. So what's happened is we've ended up with this amazing, supportive community. And I just want to tell everybody about it. If you'd like to come on over and check us out. I'm so happy with my community, and I feel like my community encourages me and I encourage them. It's just such a positive thing. So we deal with everything under the sun that's weird. Aliens and Angels podcast generally is everything in that genre. Quantum Guide Show could be people who are helping others recover from satanic ritual abuse, or perhaps they're astrologers, or who knows what, something to offer humanity. And then and that's really what I want to be doing right now. So the big focus is just on positive community, and I'm so happy with everybody and the way it's played out. It's been beautiful. And I'm going to get a little help when my moderator is going to start coming on the show with me to handle the live chat when I'm doing a solo presentation, because sometimes it's too much to try to concentrate on what I'm presenting and handle the live chat. So that's going to improve too in the near future. So yeah, that's my community. And
Right on, Karen. I love what you're doing. You put out such great content. You put out a great variety of different topics, as you were saying. So highly recommend everyone go check that out. I'll have all her links available right in the description. I know you wanted to get to your thoughts about a film from the 1980s called Enemy Mine. It's been such a while, but I have seen this when I was a little kid. I think the last time I saw it, I was probably about maybe 6 or 7 years old, so I really do not remember the film much. Tell us a little bit about the film and your thoughts on why it's so relevant.
Okay, it's a fantastic movie. And over Christmas time, that's what we do at Christmas. We sit around and we're not that much into gifts, but we are really into good food. And we love to watch stuff like Spielberg movies from the 70s and 80s and stuff like that. And this year we decided we would watch Enemy Mine. If you haven't seen it, guys, it will blow your mind. It is a perfect metaphor for what's going on today in our societies all over the world. And I'll just give you a very brief overview. You have two warring worlds with two types of beings that look very, very different culture, different everything. One of them they call them the Dracs. They look much like what we would consider reptilians. And then there's the white American guy. I'm not sure if they still have Americans in the future, but he is the other guy. And they both hate each other. The propaganda is that the other is horrible, is going to bring disaster, they smell bad, they don't deserve to live, and we're going to just wipe them all out. And then the Dracs are sort of being told the same thing. And they're at war with each other. And one day they crash the Drac and the American guy crash their ships in space and land on this really desolate, horrible planet that's very life-threatening, and they hate each other. So in the beginning, the white guy's trying to sabotage, well, he sabotages the Drac ship, so neither one of them can get off, neither one of them can communicate with their own kind. They're stuck with each other, and they hate each other. They each think each other so ugly and horrendous, and all the propaganda spills out. But then they're forced to rely on each other in order to survive, and then they get to know each other. And I don't want to give the story away because it's incredible. I'm telling you, I cry every time I watch it. It's so beautiful, and the ending is so beautiful. Okay, I'm not going to cry. The ending is so beautiful. What happens from these two beings finding their peace with each other and actually understanding each other? And I see that's going on today, and I'm quite concerned because we're fighting not just religion, my religion against their religion, my politic versus their politic, my left versus their right. And if it isn't that, it's what you eat. If it isn't that, it's fat people or thin people thinking it's okay to make fun of fat people. And it just goes on and on and on and on. And that is the problem. And as soon as we get to know each other a little bit and show some love and respect for the rest of humanity, then my question is, how the hell are any of you going to handle when ET shows up. And ET is already showing up and will continue to do so in more meaningful ways. So we got to get our shit together. So we want a cure for all these problems, from globalization to bad health and bad food and on and on. We need to see the positive things about each other. And I think it's really, really, really the only thing that's going to save us, Chris. And, the thing is that, automatically, if I hear somebody speaking about something and I have a very different perspective, my natural knee-jerk reaction is to just discredit them, call them an idiot or whatever, and think that I'm somehow superior. But the truth of the matter is, when we stop and listen to an alternative perspective and give it some space, we learn something. Why is it they see it from that perspective? What's going on for them? What has been their experience, right? You don't have to just shift and agree with everything, but you come to understand the other in a different, more meaningful way. And what happens is then that sharpens our own belief system, because we can go, okay, I see it from this perspective. I see this, this, and this. That person sees it very differently. This, and this. What can I learn from them? How can I benefit from taking them seriously and not just discrediting them and falling into the trap of making fun of them or belittling them? That doesn't have to happen. And so, and interestingly, this goes along with what I said about building community and building online community. And we have the power to change everything in a moment. All we have to do is withdraw our power from those forces we've been giving it to, take it back, and start, becoming what I would consider decent human beings. And sharing with each other, teaching each other, and what a beautiful world we could have. And it's not that hard, but we just got to go, okay, this is all theater. This is all theater going on out there. It's propaganda, it's lies, it's programming, it's brainwashing. But guess what? I can think for myself, and I can delve deeper into these concerns, which leads me to the next thing, is I would like to talk about love. But I want to stop in case you have any more questions.
I always have to wonder, to what level is the theater penetrating your everyday person's psyche and affecting them to an extent where they are hating their neighbors, they are having these psychological breakdowns, they're believing in the propaganda, they're blindly supporting the anti-human agendas. Being that there's so much theater, could it be that a lot of what they're trying to portray the division as, the level of division that is really affecting the people out there, could be another level of theater as well? Because when I go outside and I talk to people and I meet new people, they don't hate everyone. They don't hate each other. They're very normal, loving people for the most part. So I think there's a level of propaganda and theater associated with how much they want us to think it's affecting us. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would. And the other thing I wanted to say, I'm going to do a podcast about this down the road, not too long, is so you've got your most richest, financially best off, and most powerful people in the world. And it's a small number. I've heard it's 13 families. I don't know. But each of those families would have a patriarch or whatever running the show, and they're living under absolute delusion. And I'll give you an example, would be the King of England. It's a complete delusion. And then there's a huge support network that I believe includes 3-letter agencies that set it all up to keep that illusion going, and more agencies that perpetuate those myths and beliefs amongst the common people, like, for instance, through media. mainstream, mostly mainstream, but we got to be real careful. A lot of alternative media is what they call AI slop. And a lot of it is people who are being paid to perpetuate the system. And the truth of the matter is, they don't give a damn about us. And so we got to give a damn about us, Chris. So I don't know if that goes in with your question.
Yeah, perfect. So you wanted to get into love.
Yeah, because that's the answer. That is the answer. And I saw it so beautifully illustrated when I had my ET experience and even my angelic experience. I've been somehow blessed enough to have both. And it is a beautiful way to live because it's functional. Everything we're experiencing here is dysfunctional. It's all been orchestrated so that everything we think is real is probably not, and everything we're told is bad for us might actually be good for us. Like it's a whole inversion. You know about that. You've done all kinds of shows about that. But what is love? People think it's, a romance. You know, they see a fireman and he's really handsome and beefy, and you go, oh, I'm in love with that fireman. No, that is not love. Sorry, it was just the first illustration that came to my mind. That is not love. First of all, love starts within, and love has to be exercised towards self. So love includes patience. Now, you go around and practice being patient for one day. Never mind a week, never mind when you're around your biological family. It's really hard, and you keep working at it. It's a skill. But along with that comes mildness. You know, when we're mild, we're not repaying drama with more drama. You know, there's so many things. Kindness is like a magic wand. It really makes a difference. And we can be kind. We can choose, regardless of who we're dealing with. We can choose to be kind. Self-control. I had to learn self-control. I had some terrible eating problems and addictions, and I had to one by one overcome them in order for me to show love to myself. And that's another thing that happens with spiritual advancement is our awareness shifts. So suddenly the things we used to eat, the things we used to do, we can't do that anymore. Everything changes. And I'm wondering, Chris, do you have that image I sent to you of me before and after my spiritual awakening? Because I think it's a really good illustration.
Yes, give me a couple moments, I'll pull that up.
Yeah, you could do that. I'll just yap. I'm used to talking, so that's not a problem. So the thing is that when we truly love each other, we love ourselves, and then we love each other, there's room for function. There's room for functional societies. We have more mercy, and we're more forgiving. And it doesn't mean that we allow ourselves to be mistreated. It just means that we start practicing in the microcosm of our own selves, and then within our family, our immediate family, and then it goes out, into our community. And love is so misunderstood and so important. And I believe it's the only thing that's going to save us, because we're not going to run around hurting each other anymore. We're not going to say, you join my religion or you're going to hell, or you join my religion or you deserve death because you're a filthy non-believer. You're not going to do all of that. You're going to be patient and kind with people, respectful as you can be, but still taking care of yourself. Self-preservation, there's a huge role for that in there as well. Most people don't even know what love is, and they certainly don't know how to love themselves. And we've all been traumatized and screwed up. So it's a job. And I'll just quickly say a couple of words. One is the hero's journey. And, we got to go through the hero's journey if we want to come out in a different place. And that's not fun. And it means you have to spend some time doing shadow work, which is the dark night of the soul. And nobody wants to do that. Believe me. But if we don't do it, we just get more slop and more crap and more bullshit, and if we really want to make a difference, we need to do the work. And people don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear you gotta, give up certain fake foods and, maybe monitor our addictions, and only we know what those addictions are. And sometimes they have nothing to do with drugs, you know?
Mm.
So this is a picture of me. I always tell people, throughout my adult life, I weighed over 320 pounds. I wore a size 54 before my spiritual awakening. There I am. And that's a size 54 that I'm wearing. And I had a lot of health problems. And part of my spiritual awakening was recognizing the connection between what I was putting in my mouth and how my body was reacting and feeling. And so I got so used to being so fully inflamed that I didn't realize that inflammation is not natural. That is not how it goes. You go to the doctor and the doctor says, oh, you've got fibromyalgia, you got chronic fatigue, you could take these pills, but never it says anything about what I'm eating, how much sunshine and fresh air I get. Am I getting exercise? Like I was just an ordinary human being here. I wasn't doing anything wrong per se. And I was really, really suffering, and my mental and physical health took a huge toll. So that was at the beginning of my journey. And then there's another image
Give me a second.
that is me when I started my journey. So I started channeling and having all these weird paranormal experiences. And I went to a psychic fair, and the woman took a picture of my aura. And you can tell there's a huge, huge weight difference between then and my aura picture and even now. So I just want to show people that if we expect different results from doing the same thing over and over again, it ain't going to happen. We have to do something different. Anyway, excuse me, it's a huge drastic difference. Let's just put it that way. And I wanted people, well, you can see me. Obviously, I'm not in a size 54 anymore, and I'm
You
grateful
look
for
amazing.
that. So everything gets easier.
It's such a dramatic change.
Yeah. And it makes you feel good when you have achievements, when you've worked out a goal and you acquire it before you go on to your next goal. It's very exciting stuff. So that's why I wanted to tell everybody about that. And that leads into my next talking point of external versus internal sources of wisdom. But I'm wondering if you want to say anything, because sometimes I forget to ask
Only
you.
that,
Chris,
again, congratulations on the dramatic changes and the work that you've done. Not everyone can take the reins on their health and are able to reclaim it in the way that you have. So that's amazing, and it's a great example for people out there.
And it's never too late, because in about 6 weeks, I'm going to be 70
Wow.
years old. Holy smokes, never thought I'd become an old lady, but here I am. But, I'm still going to live my life the best I can, because that makes me happy.
Right on.
I guess I'm whipping through this pretty fast. I thought it would take me forever to get through all this, but this next point, maybe we can spend a little bit time on. So there's a difference between going inside for wisdom or looking to external sources. So a lot of us have woken up to the fact that when we don't take responsibility for our health, we go into mainstream medical environments, often doing exactly what we're told, being, told that that's what you need to do if you want to get better and stuff. Well, we all learned between 2020 and 2022, no, that doesn't work out so good for lots of us. And on it goes. And people were always looking to other people for sources of inspiration and ideas. But the problem is, and again, nobody wants to hear this, but we need to go within and establish our own connections to our higher self, our build a soul team, bring in our guides, our angelic supports, all that kind of stuff. So what I often get whenever I'm, go on a a panel or something else, people are always going, oh, I listen to so and so, I follow so and so, because they channel directly from, the Pleiadians or this or that or whatever. It could be anything, or the archangel, or even a lot of people are claiming to channel for Jesus and all that kind of stuff, right? But what happens is, again, we're relying on somebody else's contact and experience to build our own framework. And that doesn't work, because we can build our own framework. We don't need to always be following other people, because that's how cults get started. And there's no shortage of cultism out there. And I also could say the same thing about AI. So you could go on AI and ask it anything, get all these answers and stuff. And I know several people who have gone quite literally insane from going on Chat GPT. And Chat GPT has told them that there's something really special and they're blessed by God and they have secret knowledge, and they buy into it. Next thing you know, they're alienating themselves from everybody else. They're same thing. They're never building that internal locus of power or inspiration. That has me very concerned. So I cannot rely, in my opinion, I cannot rely on any minister, pastor, preacher to give me all the information I need. I can't rely on the medical industry. Hell, I don't even think I can rely on the legal systems or the political systems, but I can rely on what I know is real, what I experience for myself. And so the thing is that I'm just going to take a look at my notes so I don't forget anything. When we go for external locus of power or information or inspiration, we're getting a flawed perception of somebody else's experience. And like I said, it can lead to cultism. When we go inside, internally, and if I'm going to talk about my book later, but I teach you basically how to do that. So you have your own experience, and then you synthesize it, and you come to conclusions, and you grow your awareness, and you build your own inspiration, and you come to realize you can absolutely rely on it. And it's the most beautiful thing in the whole world. It doesn't matter what other people's opinions are. We are having our firsthand experiences. We're witnessing the phenomena on our own. We're interpreting and we're building our own wisdoms. Nobody can take that away from us. Nobody can fool us. Nobody can touch that very sacred, in my opinion, union that we can have. And I know, Chris, you've done it. I've done it. It's not like we're some kind of imaginary or super powerful super people that we can do this, and we're not imagining it. This is real, the real deal. And the kind of direction we get strengthens us. And then we're no longer afraid of what the propaganda is saying, and what the restrictions are in our area, and so much more. It's the most beautiful state of being, and it goes through kind of different levels, and I'm using my own words to describe the experience, but someone else might use different words. And that is, first we go through our awakening, and that goes in layers. That never ends. You realize, oh my God, and then you realize, and then you go on, you adjust your thinking, and then you realize something else. So for instance, lately I've been doing a lot of research about not the megalithic structures, but the cathedral Romanesque structures that are all over the world, and they're the same all over the world. Well, now they're finding out they're only 2 or 3 hundred years old to us, because society gets reset every 2 or 300 years. It's almost like they want to wipe everybody out and try a new experiment. I'm not 100% sure on the origins of all of that, but these beautiful structures, and there's so many pictures of them, and they're surrounded by level dirt. There's no people, there's no anything. And then I saw another recent one where this woman is an expert about tree growth and assessing the age age of different structures based on the tree growth. And she found out, you know how they have like in South America, and they have like Angkor Wat in Cambodia and places like that. They have these trees grown and vines grown all over into everything. Well, now they're finding out, oh my God, these trees are only 200 or 300 years old. They're not thousands of years old like what we've been taught, right? Which is more evidence of a reset. So, I mean, this is just one example, right? So that's part of the awakening, and that never seems to end for me. I learn new things and I have new levels of awakening, but awakening leads to what I call ascension, and ascension has nothing to do with religion. It's not about being taken up into the sky or the clouds with Jesus. No, what it is now we start to raise our frequency. So our bodies, we're taking care of our bodies so our bodies can hold the frequency. We're taking care of our minds so we have the emotional capacity to hold higher frequency. And when you hold higher frequency, you get involved with higher frequency beings, because the low frequency stuff, when they can't pull you back down into that, it's completely ineffective and void. So I don't have problems with demons showing up or, freaking out over government systems or any of that, because I've got my own ascension thing. I'm raising my frequency. I'm attracting and being drawn to other people of similar frequency, and life just gets better and better and better. So I don't know what to say. It's just like people don't want to give up garbage food and eat real food. People don't want to go within, whatever's holding them back. Some people are worried about demons, or some people are getting lost, worried about getting lost in it. But that's not been my experience, Chris. It's been extremely liberating on so many levels. So that's the other thing I wanted to talk to people about is, and Chris, I think you'd agree, you and I are just ordinary people making mistakes, stumbling forward towards a higher calling, but we're staying true to ourselves, and we're surrounded by people who are also being true to themselves. And what a beautiful, again, gets back to community, what a beautiful situation we end up in. And that's how we gain wisdom.
There's a lot to unpack there, a lot we could talk about. First, I want to go back to contact in general and discerning the intelligences that we're communicating with. You mentioned demons and extraterrestrials. When it comes to being able to discern the nature of what we are trying to be in contact with, you mentioned this, and many others have also mentioned that being at a higher state of awareness and energy and vibration and holding that love energy essentially will prevent any negative interactions. I've also heard the opposite, that it doesn't matter, that negative entities can manipulate you somehow to gain access. They can even pose as benevolent beings, and you could never be able to tell, even energetically, if they were malevolent beings. So how would you suggest well, there we go. How do you suggest we approach this, and what are your thoughts on contact in general and how we can discern?
Well, first of all, I want to say most people are out of touch with their body and their body's sensations. And my body tells me when something's not right for me. My body tells me. I know I get absolutely huge physical sensations that tell me. So that's one way. And so if it's not that these low frequency, let's just call them entities, don't try to get connected to me. I've got a huge trauma background like most people do, and that seems to be how they get in, through recurring memories, thoughts, the PTSD thing, and then they fade. But when you're being fed on, you feel the draining sensation. And so that's where awareness comes in. If we are so distracted that we're not aware of physical sensations, then we might miss it. But if I'm really sensitive to my physical sensations, I go, oh my God, I'm being drained. And it's like one negative thought after another. What the hell's going on? And I go, aha, somebody's having breakfast on me. And I refuse. This is our realm. This is our reality. And within my personal reality, I can tell them to fuck off and mean it. Pardon me for being so rude. But, you know, I use strong language because I have strong feelings about that. And I just tell them to get lost. And then I just switch what I'm thinking about. I can do that because I've been practicing and I can do that. So that's one way, body sensations. The other thing is intuition, and we all have it. And it's very closely linked to telepathy. So if you find you're very intuitive, or if the people out there are finding they're having a lot of synchronicities and they're picking up on it, they're already on their way. This is really a beautiful transition into being a more higher frequency or, frequential being. And you're going to notice things. So that's the big thing.
Would you say even for trickster entities that there are tells, giveaways that this is a malevolent being in disguise?
There are. And I was raised in a very, very intensely narcissistic, psychopathic, empathy deficient family. So I got all the background training. I know how to deal with that because I've had the best and the worst in this life. And I can look back. That's the other beauty of being older. I can look back at my life. I can see what worked, what didn't work, what lessons I've learned. I can course correct in the now. And then I make sure tomorrow's going to be better. So, you know, I don't know. I do not believe we're just defenseless and we're here to be preyed upon by negative entities and malevolent ETs and, you know, the WEF and all this stuff. And, oh, we're just helpless. No, everybody was given methods of self-defense. I got cats. I know you got a beautiful orange boy too. And he lets you know when he's had enough. They let you know. They set boundaries. And they make sure that you course correct, you know, and we can do the same thing. And we're all part of this great, big, beautiful reality if we just let it, if we just make it so for ourselves. So that's my opinion and that's my experience. Now, it may be something different for you or for someone else, but this is how it is for me. And if it's possible for me, I'm sure it's possible for other people because, oh my God, you guys have no idea how many mistakes I've made in my life. That's one constant. I make a lot of mistakes, but I also learn that way. For some reason, that's how I learn. And that's how I do it. Did I answer your question, or is there more you'd like to know? Because there's always more.
There is always more, but I want to get to something else. You mentioned the resets, the periodic erasure of information and knowledge so that the next generation has no idea what's happening. I agree that this happens, but it may even happen more often than we're aware on smaller scales than a mud flood or a massive cataclysm that wipes out everybody. I'm talking about erasure of information, Mandela effect, entertainment, books, and information is periodically altered. And I think in the age of technology, it's happening more often. I think it's happening on a large scale right now. I think they are altering things not only online, but whatever they have access to, even in a physical sense, as far as literature and books and things like that. On a bigger scale, I think they have mass resets where there's a depopulation event that is involved. It ensures that the next generation doesn't have access to the information that would allow them to understand that they're enslaved in this reality. And unfortunately, I think that's where we lie right now. It's difficult to know what happened 5, 10 years ago, but trying to unpack our ancient past is almost impossible, and we have no idea how much our history has been altered, how many times we've been reset, what's been changed, what kind of information has been inserted there. I think books, physical documentation, even if they have to carve it in stone again, is so important. I think we need to start implementing those physical methods of documentation of our history again to ensure that the next generation has an understanding of the level of control that the parasite class has over us.
Yep, I agree. And I got another theory that's recent, but there's a lot I don't know. So I'm just going to start by saying that. There's a lot I just don't know. But I've been thinking lately that the whole flat earth thing might be truer than we want to believe. And I'm not saying it is true. I'm just telling you this is a working theory I'm working on. And I think that that we're living basically in some kind of a bowl or basin, and that everything is spread out and that it's not a globe. And the reason I think that is because when I've seen maps of the different continents outside of the ice wall, on the other side of the ice wall, and what's interesting is there's one called Valhalla. And I thought it was really interesting after Charlie Kirk's demise. Who was it? Was it J.D. Vance or someone said, I'll see you in Valhalla?
It's Kash Patel.
And, Kash Patel. And, I'm a big fan of Ryder Lee's documentary about what happened to FKN. And I don't want to give it away because I want people to go and watch this documentary.
To JFK, you mean?
Yeah. Yeah, like him and I think Jay Widener have a very unique perspective on that. Now you take that information and then you watch all of the little clips and all the conflicting evidence to do with Charlie Kirk, and it looks like a little bit more high-tech version of the same thing. And so I'm thinking what they do is they move people onto a different continent, and they don't get to come back, and then they celebrate their death and all that. But it's the only thing that makes sense, Chris, when you look at all the sorry, I didn't mean to take it down a rabbit hole. I'm using this as an illustration, okay? Yeah. And so I think that I think he's still alive, and that's the only thing that makes sense. Why else would they be doing this whole zoo and dog and pony shows? It's ridiculous. It's an insult to Charlie, and it's an insult to us. And I'm not going to speculate on what's really going on with Erica and all that, because I'm sure y'all have your own opinions, and that's another show. But I'm just saying, okay, so I think there's other continents. So we've been given, there was over 200,000 orphans just shipped into the United States. Never mind England, Australia, everywhere else. Where'd all these orphans come from? Where are their parents? The only thing that was really big in those days was insane asylums, which would be for anyone who dissented, right, or challenged the mainstream narrative. And these orphanages, and they're everywhere. And then, like I said, there's these buildings. So I highly recommend the YouTube channel called My Lunch Break. Oh my God, that guy has uncovered some amazing information. And now I'm starting to see pop up other little mini documentaries, like the woman who's this expert about tree growth and says, no, those trees are only maybe 200 years old at the most. And so it's all converging to show us. And so I think this is experimental. I don't know exactly who's behind it, but it's a Truman Show. I really believe it's a Truman Show, and the show's being put on for the highest levels of those 13 families that are making all the rules. But those people are so interbred, and they don't have an original bone in their body, and they're empathy deficient, which means they can't create. They don't know how. We can create. Those of us who can empathize and have compassion, we know how to create. We know how to co-create with the creator. We can do that. So they're jealous as hell of us. No wonder they want to wipe us out every time we get to a certain population, right? So I'm not saying, I'm speculating here. I have no facts to share. This is my opinion, and I hope YouTube leaves it up. But that's my opinion, and I'm gathering evidence. And the beauty of a working theory and how it's different than a belief system is we can update a working theory every time we get new information, whereas a belief system's really tough to break down that and bring in, new ways of looking at things. So I don't know. What do you think of that, Chris?
I always wonder, to what level are they capable of predicting human behavior based on the experimentations and psychological manipulation, MK Ultra, all of the programs that allowed them access to the human psyche and understanding of the human mind to such a degree that they can manipulate masses of people to go any direction that they decide to move them. With the implementation of AI and the level of technology that the ruling class and the unnamed have access to. Have you heard of something called the sentient world simulation? Supposedly, it's a mass simulation where there is access to basically everyone's data online, and it's used as predictors. It gives predictive models on behavior and what people are going to do. And supposedly they have models on every single person in the world that is, at least that's connected some way to some technology or social media. And it just makes me wonder, to what level are they capable of truly predicting human behavior? And how long have they been relying on things like AI to do their dirty work and predict what the next agenda should be and how they should roll it out?
I hear you on that. And again, I'll just give you my opinion. My opinion is that yes, that is possible and even quite likely, but not for all of us. And I'll tell you why, is because the human has already been hacked with artificial foods and degrading medications and culture and indoctrination from Hollywood, and all of those things make it harder for us to be truly free people and espouse our grandeur and spirituality. And so what happens is, some of us, that's why going through the awakening process is not fun. And the whole ascension thing, it takes tremendous dedication, and it means sacrificing a lot of distractions. But I really, really think that we can escape it. We can rise above it by raising our frequencies. So another thing I want to tell you is, I myself do believe in God. I don't believe in an old man sitting on a throne and giving out blessings and maledictions. I don't believe in that. But I do believe in infinity and eternity and in everything. And now they're starting to discover that we're surrounded in a soup of plasma. We don't even know we're in it. Just like a fish doesn't know he's in water, we don't know we're within all this plasma that we can draw on and use it for manifestation and everything. And so the thing is that's why we have ascension and awakening and all of that, because that's part of our escape route from all of that. So I think some people will never catch on, and yeah, they are, as you just described, but some of us have seen different. So I'll give you just a couple quick examples. I have seen, I sort of refer to the active force of God as being Holy Spirit. I have seen Holy Spirit work within my own life, granting me things that I needed at the right time. I've seen it, I've experienced it, and I felt it. I know it's a real thing, but everyone else has to come to their own position on that. And so there's that. And I think that it has a sense of humor and a very high level of intelligence that supersedes anything that could be going on in our 3D reality. And then there's another thing is the ET. So I want to say, just back up a little bit. My ET experience was extensive, but it fits for a flat Earth model as well as for a globe Earth model, which I thought was interesting. And I didn't really realize that right away, that it totally fits for both, which is to me a good thing, because we don't have to choose this or that. We can choose this and that other thing and another thing over there. We're just told that we only have two choices. It's bullshit. We have millions of choices, right? But I want to tell you about when I first started interacting with Bob the Gray. And Bob the Gray is just my affectionate name for a being that I have contact with in the etheric or higher dimensional realms. And he doesn't mind. They're not hung up on what you call them or anything else. What they're hung up on is our heart content. Anyway, so he started contacting me through the portal of my imagination, which I believe is technology. And I thought I was imagining him. I wasn't ready yet. And I actually started making fun of him, and I felt really bad afterwards, at least later when I found out he was a real thing. And he withdrew from me for actually quite a few years until I was ready. And then he came back and was assisting me again. So, how did I perceive Bob? Well, I perceive him as having like messages in the peripheral of my conscious mind that sort of bubble up on the edges. And I have to listen. I have to stop and listen if I want to hear what he's having to say. Otherwise, I would miss it. So if I'm super distracted, I might miss it, right? And so that's how I came in greater contact with Bob. And then that led, I believe, he arranged for me to have my time aboard the big ship. And I know we don't have time to talk about all that, but I just wanted to say those are two examples of ways that I think we have more choice and than we realize. But if we don't give it a shot and experience it for ourselves, or if we're listening to AI, or we're listening to, I don't know, super duper guy who's had contact with the Pleiadians, and this is telling everyone, that's one thing about my experience. I was never told to go out and start a cult. I was never told to go out and represent these beings. Not at all. I can give my experience. This is what I experienced. This is how it was for me. This is what I remember. I don't remember the rest. And just honestly, put it out there. That's the best that I can do. And I'm not saying I'm better than anyone else. Please don't take that. That's not what I'm meaning. But what I'm saying is that there are benevolent forces that we can tap into. Absolutely. I've done it myself on many different occasions and in many different ways with many kinds of different, what I would call beings like angelics or ETs or Sasquatch, so just saying.
Earlier in the discussion, you mentioned that we need to be prepared for everything, including extraterrestrials showing up. And you were just recounting a bit of your extraterrestrial experiences. This has been another area that has been weaponized amongst the collective consciousness. There's so much disinformation, propaganda, counterintelligence, operatives inserted within the UFO community to steer agendas in certain directions and have the masses get a certain understanding of what they want us to think extraterrestrials are.
Yep.
I think the best way to understand what extraterrestrials really are is to listen to people's experiences that they've had personally. The narrative that they're putting forward is fear-based, of course, but there's also the individuals that they insert into the UFO community that claim to be experiencers, but they're muddying the water with propaganda and misinformation about even extraterrestrial contact. So it's very difficult to discern this area right now of UFOs and extraterrestrials and what's real and who's an agent and who's lying about this. What are your thoughts on the state of disclosure, and what do you mean by extraterrestrials showing up in our lives?
Oh, excuse me, hang on.
Sure.
I got a cough. That feels better. Okay, first of all, I never poo-poo or discount anybody's experience, because what they experience, they experience. We weren't given concepts or language to even talk about it. So it's very difficult for us to have a cohesive representation on ET. The other thing is follow the money and all the missing money and where it's going, right? That gives you part of the answer. The other part is we know there's MyLabs and there is domestic from Earth, from humans, setups that have terrorized humanity into thinking that they come in spaceships and they travel thousands of light years to get here and all that other jazz. And personally, I don't see how any of that's possible, because my experience, not saying it's better, but it's all very spiritual. And so what happened is I never got picked up in a spaceship and taken to the big ship. It didn't happen to me like that. It happened on a very spiritual and etheric kind of level. So I've come to believe the true ETs, even though that's no longer a good name for it, I believe they're transdimensional beings. Jesus was a transdimensional being. Angels are transdimensional beings. No one's afraid of them. Why would we be afraid of ET? Yesterday on my Aliens and Angels podcast, we did an analysis of a interrogation of a ET. Now, I know some people don't believe that's a real ET. They think it's a puppet and everything. But for 1964, believe me, very unlikely that it's an earthly creation. But anyway, in that, I noticed that, well, first of all, they were really nasty to that little guy. I mean, the humans were super nasty. We hear about all kinds of ETs being captured and interrogated and all this. So you take a population of what I'm going to call ETs, and some of their representatives get held hostage, get tortured, get shot up with drugs and horrible things to them. While ET would have the right, as most of us would argue, to come in and defend their race. They would retaliate in some way, but no one has retaliated. In fact, all the horrible stuff happening here on Earth seems to be perpetuated by humans. So with that being said, I'm not saying that it's fake, the 3D disclosure, but if you take a look at some of the suspects who, like, Richard Doty and others, who we know they're just spreading lies. In fact, they don't even care if they ruin people's lives or how they do it. So personally, if I'm given, like, I know they got a disclosure project going on with Congress. If Congress came forward and said, this is real and these are the ETs, I actually wouldn't believe it, because everything here seems to be an inversion. It really does. Now, on a spiritual perspective, yeah, I think it's possible. So I still refer to them as ET, but actually they're transdimensionals, which is the name of my book, which is interesting in itself because I didn't know what to call it. I was going to call it the Intergalactic Resettlement Program, and that didn't really fit. And again, it was while I was sleeping. I had a transdimensional experience, and I was told, no, use the word transdimensional. I never even heard of it. I had to go Google it, look it up, and see what it meant. And then I realized, yeah, it's transdimensional. So I don't know if ET is going to come in the 3D or it's going to stay a transdimensional thing. But I do know that no matter how you slice it or dice it, you and I have about as much value as a rat or a raccoon or a mouse. We're all expendable here. So let's make it count. Let's make it really count while we're here. I'm sorry, I
No,
got off on a
you're
tangent.
fine.
Did I answer your
Yeah,
question?
you mentioned the extraterrestrial interview and that some of these beings may be captured in a physical sense. How is that possible if they are etheric beings? Are they able to manifest in a physical sense?
Well, they're containers. So I'll give you an example. For those of you who've read my book, I had an experience where I actually experienced one of those containers. And it was what I needed to support my consciousness while I was aboard the big ship until I found another way of being there with physicality. And so I actually had the experience myself. And so what I think is they're containers. They hold the consciousness of spiritual beings to give them physicality for a specific purpose. That's what I think. And I got to tell you, another thing I noticed, you remember when Jake Barber came out and they released the video of the egg-shaped
Yeah.
UFO, when he talked about how when he went to recover it, he had these overwhelming feelings of love and all that. And they were going to bring out disclosure to the world, and they did all this stuff. And guess what? It all petered out. Now you hear nothing about them. So they were either shut down or they shut themselves down. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I believe they're containers, and you heard people refer to us as containers. The difference is that our soul is embedded in our physical bodies somewhere along our mother's pregnancy, if not at the time of birth. I mean, the SRA people, that's the satanic ritual abuse. What happens, and this is tied into MK Ultra, what happens is when the mother's pregnant and she's getting close to giving birth, they have one of their high priests or whatever the hell they're called come in and fuse a demon into the emerging baby. And so the baby has its own soul, but it's compartmentalized with this negative entity. Do you see what I'm saying? And so we also are containers, a little bit different, but ET, I think, is using, or transdimensionals are using these clone bodies. They almost all look the same, very similar. That's what I think.
That would make a lot of sense. Very interesting. Karen, any final thoughts before we close out?
Yes, I want to remind everyone I have 2 books published on Amazon. One is called Transdimensional Meet the New Neighbors. It's about my paranormal life, but also most of it is about my experiences with what I call ET aboard the big ship. And there's a lot of learning in there and a lot of really good stuff. And it was a positive experience. And it really illustrates how when we get on the love harmonic, we can transform our communities. So I was shown this to bring back to tell everybody. The second book is a little different. It's mostly a picture book. I made the images with AI. I'm not going to lie about it. I'm no artist. Those are not selfies. They look like selfies, but they're not. And the reason was I actually published my book in December of 2024, my first book, and I thought, oh, it's over. What a lot of work that was. And then all of a sudden I got the calling to produce the second book. And I'm going, are you crazy? I don't want to do another book this soon. And they impressed upon me, I don't know, whoever, my guides, I don't always know exactly who's what. Impressed upon me that disclosure was probably going to happen very soon, and that people needed some way to overcome their fear, because our knee-jerk reaction is to be afraid of the grays. Well, there's many different races of grays for one thing, but for another thing, we need to get used to humanoids that look different than us, and they may not be threatening at all. And so I have I have a chapter where I write about Bob the Gray and my experiences, which are very limited with the Grays. But then I also have a chapter that has Preston Dennett. He submitted a picture and a page of information. Dolly Saffron, the Kinsella twins, and I have 7 different people adding their experience just to show people that I'm not the only one that believes in this or has information. And then the rest is over 250 pages of images to get people used to what hybrids might look like, what the males might look like, the females. I even have a chapter called The Gray Family Photos, so cute, of little family units, right? And it's just to remove that knee-jerk reaction of fear, because when we're not afraid, we're grounded. We still have our ability to think critically, and we can't be bamboozled. So that's why the second book came out. So it depends what you're looking for as to what book you might be interested in, but they're all available on Amazon. And then the last thing I want to say is come check out our community. It's not my community, it's our community. We're co-creating it with each other to provide a live chat atmosphere where people can come out, speak their truths, not worry about being made fun of or being put down or anything like that. Basically, if you got a good heart and it shows, you're welcome in our community. And if you cause trouble, you'll just get the boot and get banned. It's real simple to protect, the group. But come check us out. Absolutely, come check us out. I think a lot of people would love the community. And that's about it. Did I miss anything,
I think
Chris?
we got it. Excellent, Karen. Thank you so much. We'll definitely be talking again in the future. And until next time, everyone, have a wonderful evening. We'll talk again tomorrow. If you're looking to start your therapeutic microdosing journey, but don't know where to start, especially when looking for the highest quality ingredients, including nootropics, and what you'd expect from a true microdose capsule, check out our friends at Brainsupreme. They offer the absolute highest quality ingredients so you can start your microdosing journey knowing that you're getting top-notch ingredients. To find out more, visit their website using that link right in the description, and you can get 15% off your entire order. Hello friends, I am so excited to tell you about Independent Media Token. Independent Media Token is a brand new way to show your support for independent media without having to donate a dime. Independent Media Token is a cryptocurrency on the Solana blockchain designed to generate funds to promote and foster the growth of independent content creators, allowing them to engage in their art without having to worry about being demonetized. Through a network of media partners, of which you yourself can become a part of, Independent Media Token's goal is to ensure the powers that be can never cut off all of our areas of funding and censor the only free voices left in the world. Join the movement today. You can pick up Independent Media Token using Phantom Wallet or the Solana wallet of your choice, where you can easily swap your Solana for IMT. Grab some IMT today and remember to always know your team. To learn more, visit independentmediatoken.com or use the link right in the description. Are you and your family prepared for an emergency? Maybe the fake alien invasion? Now is the time to prepare yourself and your family for any event. Check out Prep Starts Now. Their mission is to provide high-quality preparedness products that empower individuals and families to be ready for any situation. They're committed to delivering reliable, trusted gear to ensure your safety, security, and peace of mind in times of need. Their product selection is carefully curated to provide you with the essential gear you need to stay prepared. From emergency kits to tactical tools, every item is chosen for its reliability and practicality. Prep Starts Now understands the importance of family, and their goal is to equip you with everything you need to build a solid plan for your family's preparedness. In today's ever-changing world, being prepared is more important than ever. And Prep Starts Now is here to help you and your family stay ready with quality products and practical guidance. Use the link in the description and get 15% off your order.